Hi and welcome back. On this exciting episode, we're going to get the hood, the grill, and the footrest ready for primer and paint. But first I have to tell you, a friend just called me and told me he had broken his leg in 2 places. I said, hey, you gotta stop going to those 2 places. Well, I put some stripper on a couple of these parts here. Looks like it's starting to work when paint's bubbling up. And after it gets done working, I'm going to go out there and pressure clean it. Get all of that junk off of it and see how she looks. And here's what we got when we pressure clean it and then blow all the water off the compressed air. So there's still, some paint on there, but that's, I guess the way it works is where there's rust in that paint remover, it doesn't do it as well. Anywho, a little bit of grinding, we'll get that rest of that off of there. On the top of this hood, where it took all the sun damage and stuff, it's got real light pitting in there. And what I'm going to try to do is get phosphoric acid on there and let it sit. But since I don't have a tub this big, I'm going to take some acid, put it on there, and then cover it up with this plastic from the dry cleaners, and see if that keeps it moist enough to get in there and penetrate into these pit holes and get all that rust out. Okay, here's what we got here. Is we got the, you can see the phosphoric acid doing this little deal down there. I hope this is enough to keep it moist, so that it acts like a bath and eats all of that rust off of there. If that works, I'm gonna do it on all 4 sides of this thing, or however many sides there are. We'll see. Okay, it's been on there about a half hour or so, so let's wipe it down, see what it looks like. Okay, looks a lot better. We'll do this a couple times and make sure we get all that rust out of those pits. Plus that phosphoric acid does do a nice job of etching it, getting it ready for primer. Got the inside sanded, the outside sanded, and this is the phosphoric acid that's on it right now. It's still wet. But let that dry, sand it. It's time to start working on it, doing the body work. Alright folks, well I drilled out the rivets on this front plate, took that off and cleaned it up, and look at that. That's a beautiful color for the, what I thought was white. It's called cream. I got to figure out, it has a lot of yellow in it. So the hood is going to be painted that color. So anyway, I thought that was interesting how clean that came and how nice that looks under there after 35 years or 40 years. Anyway, got to get some of that paint now. Okay, here's the front grill. I'm going to pull that out of there. It's in, it's about the shape of everything else. Not too good. Anyway, I'm going to hopefully get this cleaned up with the sandblaster. See how it looks. Here's the rest of that front grill. I'm going to have to figure out how to clean that up as well. Get the rust and paint off of there and get it ready for priming and painting. Well, that turned out pretty marvelous. I'm glad there's not rust on it, just a little surface rust. But that cleaned up pretty nicely, and get some phosphoric acid on there, primer and paint. That's with the phosphoric acid on it. We'll let that sit and soak in. Well, I'm going to try to tackle this right now. A couple of things I'm not sure what I'm going to do. There's sheet metal over here. I may pry it apart. Take this, yeah, it looks like I'm probably going to have to do that. Unspot weld this thing so that I can get all the rust from out of there. So let's get this thing apart. I went to Harbor Freight and bought this spot weld drill, and I'll show you how that works. Drill out some spot welds and see how she works. I've already done a center punch on this baby, so we'll find where the center punch is and give it a drill. Okay, I can see it's starting to go into the base metal there because the base metal is a little rusty and I see a little rust coming out. So I'm going to switch over to this one and show you what happens. Now I'm just going to take a little putty knife here and we'll go between the two because there's some rust holding everything together there. There we go. There we go. Alright. So these two are apart. Continue that on and get these spot welds out of there. Little persuasion. Some of these spot welds were not drilled exactly on, so I had to cut a little bit more material out, that is. And there she's off. So now to clean this baby up. Okay, here she is, all cleaned of metal, of rust and paint. It's pitted on this side, and it's going to need, those spot weld things are going to need to be ground. But cleaned up pretty nicely, and now I'm going to get some phosphoric acid on it. I put some well-through primer on this other piece too, and before I do the body work on this, I think I'm going to go ahead and re-weld this back and then do the body work and paint. And that weld-through primer should keep those two surfaces from rusting again. Well, we're going to try to get this welded. I've got it in place very close, and what I'm going to do now, there's a couple spots that I left and didn't grind off those tabs, and that's to line it up with. And I do remember these holes being slightly off when I took this thing apart and drilled it out. Therefore, I'm going to take this one, which looks like it's dead on, weld that one first, and then start coming around and welding these other ones. You can see where these holes are is where the old spot welds were drilled out, and get that thing welded back together. Originally I wasn't going to show these welds because they're so bad. With that weld-through primer, sure does get a lot of spatter and stuff. But I'll show you what it looks like when I get that ground down. Hopefully you won't even know it's there. Well, here she is all finished. It's back together. You can see where the spot welds have just a little bit of a gap here or there. But I'm going to fill that in with some body filler, but they're all ground down. And it looks like it did before I took it apart, as far as that goes, except now there's no rust between here. It's just primer. So what I'm going to do is get this thing cleaned up and get it primed.